Hi guys, this is Matthew from Warrior Pilgrim. So I started mangling than I normally do in this garage. But I've got a couple of things to show you that I've actually got a general point about. And it's all to do with a couple of weapons I've got here. First of all, something I've shown you before, my riot stick. I've used it before as a demonstration of a mace, or a long-hafted mace, 2 hands, swing around, strikes into a quarter staff, and indeed, my theory there we put a spike on the end, it can be used as a useful striking weapon. If you're a thrusting weapon, even playing around with point work until I get too close, and then coming in for a strike. That works a lot better in this situation. Now, many of you might think I would be using this as a means of defence in my own house. And whilst, yes, I can in theory use it not only in this configuration, but also in its longsword katana or even rapier style, keeping it all at a distance so it can really keep people back. Whilst it could in theory be used as that, I don't think it will. It's probably the weapon I'll choose. But I do use it in a similar way. It's all down to annoying things that end up flying around in my room. This time of year we have to keep the windows open to let what air there is in Scotland drift around and cool us off. That is annoying because it lets flies and moths in. Now, I don't know about you, but I hate them. They're really annoying, just buzzing around, causing all problems, distracting me all the time. So, either leave the window open again to let them get sucked out by this storm, or I can go after them with this. You may think, why not just get a fly swatter? But I prefer this. It gives me some basic training in point control. This is probably about the same weight overall as a decent spear, maybe a bit lighter, but it gives me a better idea of point control so I can really focus on climbing up and then thrusting. So I can simply go where that moth is and then tag it. It has to be on the wall though, because moths, they're bleeding quick. It is difficult to pin them down with thrusts in mid-air. No, my coordination is terrible. I'm not going to get it that way. So, a simple thrust into them on the wall gets them nicely. I'm to see it there. Got him. But there's also another annoying creature that buzzes around my room, that being a fly. Will I use this? Well, no, because flies are a bit bigger. I might give it a go, but really, because flies, I prefer something a little bit smaller. Not this small, smaller. This. A very simple shoelace. Now, I've used similar things before. Shoelaces are a little bit more elastic in them, but if you hold them in a similar way to a bow, not only does it help build muscle, it also helps with giving it a bit of a kick. But that takes its time. Things about, let's see, about 4.5, maybe 5 feet long. That's not that easy to cover in a very short amount of time. So, I try this, which is a hair tie, an old hair tie. That gives it a lot more kick. But why not combine the two with some technique? If I simply tweak my thumb over, hold my draw on way back, aim, and as you can see, lightning fast, cuts through the air, and actually tags with incredible accuracy. Okay, I'll admit I didn't have to get it there, but it was worth a shot. All that was done. Just I saw them in a room. Thought, go for it. So this is rather effective. It does knock flies out at the very least, and can kill them at times. At the very least, stop them buzzing around, so I can pick them up, either throw them at the window, or pop them in a local spider's web. May sound cruel, but hey, you don't be buzzing around my room when you don't belong. You better get out. If you're not going to stay there, then well, if you're not going to stay there, I'll get the spider involved. That spider's pretty much been sacked right now because he hasn't done anything in months. So, does this actually work? This will be pretty useless in home defence, to be honest, because yes, if you put something sharp on this loop, just something you just to wrap the finger around, it can potentially cause a gash, maybe a nick in the eye, and certainly painfully hitting the eye or the nose, but it's much, much less effective than a towel, which I have used on flies before, and my god does that work. If you can get them. This, far straighter, far simpler, and you can simply snap out rather than wind up and back. With this, you're really struggling to get anything because it's a very narrow strip, snapping through the air. If you're going to use it as a weapon, it's far better as a garrote. But what about something else? What if a fly got really close? This is pretty useless for that. I haven't tried this yet, but if I do get the chance, I will be using this, my mini riot stick. This I'll be using more like a baton, using in a striking motion. Now, this is actually pretty effective. If you strike on flesh, it hurts, it smarts. If you strike on bone, it really hurts. And also, you might be able to see just there, that little nubbin protruding from there, that used to be an old hairbrush. That is a force focuser. Not much, but considering it's at the end of a lever, all it needs is that, and it hurts. It may not crack bones unless I'm really going for it, but against flies, that's really all I need, just something to whip around me. And I'll be using it in very simple techniques. For example, close quarters fighting. Strike, strike, strike. That's what I use in a close quarters situation, especially with flies. Be striking around me, simple escrima movements, trying to keep things moving and stop myself from being hit by my own weapon. Plus, if I need to get nice and close to someone, I've got this plastic screwdriver on the end that can be used as a stabbing implement, can use it maybe as a thrusting implement at long range, possibly a hooking implement to move aside someone's weapon. Ultimately, this is fairly versatile, though questionable in its effectiveness against someone genuinely going nuts. It will scare someone and show that you're not going to put up with them in your house, but really, unless you've got yourself something sorted, the best thing you can do in that situation is hunker down, grab something big, and just tell them to get the heck out. So what's the point I'm going to make of this? Well, these may not be massively effective in the grand scheme of things, but they help. They're silly little things that actually help improve things. This teaches me hand-eye coordination flowing from one move to another, and might even help me if I manage to bat aside a fly. Get the technique right, and the fly doesn't really have a chance. Maybe this could help, but that's something more deadly that I don't really want to try unless absolutely necessary. This brings back my archery skills, very important, as I was very much teaching archery, and will be doing so later next month. this might be out just before then actually, so you might get a scene down how about show. So we'll see. This gets my archer skills back, gets my hand-eye coordination right so I can get a shot in nice and straight. Really helps during lockdown. This may be silly, but it can be used for thrusting into things. Great for getting those moths. And ultimately, it's also a good technique to master, just use of the staff, using strikes, thrusts, redirections, counter thrusts, hand changes, and all manner of techniques that do actually help whilst fighting with a staff, maybe in a spear, depending on which way around you want to use it. Silly, but they help in the long term. Is there a religious argument that can come up with that? Well, strange enough, there is. One thing that I've seen posted several times on forums is people asking, really, do they really think that penguins could have walked from Antarctica to the Middle East? I've always answered that back quite simply, penguins can swim. Whilst really I don't think penguins were on the Ark, along with many other animals, including, for example, kangaroos, koalas, kiwis, ostrich. You just need to think about the animals that happen to be noted in the Bible, the local ones of the area. They would have been perfectly fine. They could have come to the Ark. It was all animals from all corners of the earth. It would have made perfect sense for God to call them back. Call them all at once, and then call them back. It just happens that. If you're going to be that literal and say that the penguins walked, firstly, there's no land bridge between Antarctica and anything on the Africa, Eurasia, or even Arabian Peninsula. You'll never find a land bridge. I don't think there ever was, actually. Not unless Antarctica was joined to Africa not long after it was joined to South America and Australia. But since penguins can swim, that's not an issue. Someone instantly answered back, well, what about the koalas? And I was like, oh, good point. If only there was a creature that could put them in their pouch and travel all the way. Oh, hang on. There you go. Silly and probably illogical, but if you bear in mind they were asking a silly question, give them a silly answer. As the wise man once said, ask a silly question, get a silly answer. And you're going to be silly about things, give them silly techniques. But they help build up quick thinking and applying things that you know to those situations. Be careful, however, to do your research and be discerning about it. Because if you just think, oh, that's an interesting snippet, we'll pop that in, and bang, that's the argument done. No. Probably just taking it completely out of context, lots of information, the backbone of something else that really goes against your entire belief. So be sensible. But don't be afraid of using these silly arguments to get around that. Because these can be effective if applied at the right time. Stay safe, and God be with you.